just going to briefly give you my background. I've had an agency for about 18 years. It started off just as a freelance thing on my own. I actually got my business cards and identity and things done when I was in college at San Diego State, and started freelancing and getting in the game that way. I was an older student. I graduated at 27, so I went to school part-time and then, worked. But I wasn't planning on starting my business so quickly. I was at Bulldog Drummond, which is a big advertising firm here in town, and I was at Trans World Snowboarding up in Carlsbad. So I had some really good opportunities and experiences to get me ready for the agency world. But 9/11 happened, and there was no business after that. There was no work anywhere. So out of desperation, I just kept doing the freelance thing, and Chase Design kind of took off. And the support I got by doing that, by having your own business, to support you getting doing something like that's amazing. Like, people really are supportive because they want to have their own businesses, or they just appreciate you having the guts to do something like that. So got a lot of support, and I've just never looked back. So briefly, can you just want to start here or here? I don't care. Just want you to introduce yourself and talk about kind of where you're at in your career right now. Like, what are you up to?
Right now, it took me a while to really get into the industry because I feel when I was on my undergrad getting my internship, I feel like the faculty members, some of the faculty in the career development, they messed up my internship course. And I had to go out to look for my own, but eventually I found it very quick. I was really glad for that. And at the time I was working for the truck company. I was doing like wrapping for the truck.
Okay.
To do the promoting the truck company, like how good they are and things like that. But it wasn't much work, so I had to constantly looking for work, like to eventually finish my undergrad. And after I finished, it was like nothing, so I feel like hopeless. A lot of companies are out there that are looking for experienced people. You have 3 years experience or 5 years experience, and they don't want to hire a fresh grad. And I was really frustrated. And then, but I still kept looking. So I reached one of my faculty members in the business development center, and they kind of helped me out in the sort of things. So I was able to find something really quick.
Good.
And that's why I was working at this medical company, and they distributed like all the medical supplies, all the countries, but mainly we focus on northern New Jersey. So they're doing this catalog. So but I feel like it's such a huge response on myself because the company only has 4 people, and I'm the only one designer in the company, and they want me to do this huge, like 50-page catalog. It was so much work.
That's how you learn.
Yeah.
You may not want to do that for 10 years, but that could be a good way to really master page layout.
Yeah.
And what was your name again?
Sherry.
Sherry, and thanks for your service, by the way. You said you served in the Navy?
For 8 years.
8 years? Yeah. Great, thank you. Okay, what's your name?
My name's Melody. I'm a freshman at San Diego State right
Great.
now. I've been designing for about the past 5 years, and I have like 15 freelance projects that are kind of exploring.
Cool. Are you eventually, is your big picture dream to kind of have your own agency?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Good. It's good that you know that, at such a young age. Great.
And I'm Cheryl Dine. I own Design Perspective, and I've had my company since 1990. So my big change right now is last week I sold all my furniture and moved everything home after having an office for 30 years. So I'm a little freaked about that because I can't even fit all the stuff in the house right now. But I'm looking forward to it. We're going to have more of a remote team and try that out. And if I can't stand it, then we'll have another office. But yeah, so a lot of changes going on. They tripled our rent downtown. They sold the building for $32 million. I just didn't like the new landlord, so I'm making some changes. Yeah. So when it said entrepreneurship, I thought maybe there's some other things I should look at, in the industry.
My name is Lauren Lamb. I work for an agency here in town, Myers I've worked at agencies for the past 10 years here in San Diego, so I've never really been on my own as a freelancer. So curious to kind of hear that side of things. I don't know if I'll always be at an agency. I love it. I love it. I love being able to work with these collaborative teams. But yeah, just curious to hear about freelancing.
Yeah.
I'm Sean Ritz-Tyler. I went to Kent State University in Ohio.
So did I.
You did? No way. BCG. Cool. After I graduated, I worked at an agency in Chicago. I was in Chicago at an ad agency for about a year and a half, 2 years, and at that point I was just kind of looking for the Midwest, so I came to California. I think the first week I dropped my book off at Buyer's Ball, started the following Monday. I worked there for about a year, and then I wanted to do my own thing, so I started freelanced for about 4 years, and then John and Scott kind of lured me back in. So now I've been at Buyer's Ball for the past 4 years.
They brought you back. Huh?
Yeah.
That says a lot, though.
The old boomerang, and I tried to get rid of it.
How big is the agency right now?
So Scott retired last year, downsized about half, so I think we have about 12 employees now.
Okay.
So,
You guys were always like some of
That's
the
a
big
nice
dogs in
size.
town.
yeah,
When I
totally.
first moved here, it was like Myers Ball was like one of the big ones.
Yeah, still producing a ton of great work. Just smaller team, more lean, fast pace. But yeah, it's good. So yeah, I think eventually the goal is to get my own thing, own my agency. So kind of thinking about that ahead.
My name is Adrienne Grace, and I spent a good portion of my career in-house, and then about, 2.5 years ago now, I was working someplace that I was like, this is just totally unhealthy, and my husband was already on his own, and he said, okay, well, this person that was supposed to partner with me kind of flaked out, so why don't you do everything instead? We've been doing it now together for about 10 years.
Good for you. Great.
Yeah, like anything, I think
Yeah.
some years are like, where did everybody go?
Yeah.
And other years are better. So.
Yeah. So I'm looking for you two to contribute today. I mean, I think there's going to be things that come up, that I could benefit from, and all of you guys contribute. So we're gonna play a little game, and just to get our brains working here. Well, it's hopefully not that complicated. So you remember that game, Who Am I? Anyways, there's a game called Who Am I? So I'm gonna describe something, and I'm gonna see what comes to you guys.
Okay.
So I am science, math, familiar, logic, and order. Who am I? I am science, math, familiar, logic, and order. Who am I? Well, I am science, math, familiar, logic, and order. Who am I? Does anything come to mind?
Is it a person or a thing? Is it general?
It's a thing.
Okay, it's a thing.
The computer. I'm sorry. Let me say that again.
I am science, math, familiar, logic, and order. Who am I?
HTML.
Good. That's good.
Oh.
The HTML would definitely fit in there.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a hard one. Okay, here's another one.
What was it?
I'll tell you in a second.
Really, wait.
No, it's done.
I am creativity, free spirit, passion, color, taste, and imagination. Who am I?
So it was an engineer and designer.
So the first one was the left brain, and the second one was the right brain. And my whole basically, I've always been able to operate really well with them both, and I've actually talked about it, but I've been doing this for a long time, and lately, we're talking the last, I think I've touched on it maybe in the last couple of years a couple times, but lately I've been been promoting that value in myself. I've recognized it, it just like a light bulb went on to where I was like, I'm able to sit with the CEO and talk about the finances and talk about distribution and talk about the pricing of their product and talk about the money, because that's really what makes them tick. And hi.
Hi, are you Chris?
Yeah, go ahead
Okay.
and sit down. we're talking about the left and right brain and how kind of it's important to be able to operate a little bit in both as an entrepreneur.
Okay.
And so I always realized I could go there with the CEO, but then if I came right into a lot of times, there's a lot of CEOs that can handle both as well, but a lot of times I go right into the identity or the colors or the fonts, and it was almost like their mind, I could just tell they're like, okay, that's a task, just show me, right? And that's fine because you kind of want that license too, to where you show them good design and you give them the pitch, or you give them the scenario, and like, this is where we can take it, and here's the why. No pun intended. So that worked, but I noticed as I would get in, as I would relate to them on their level, what happened was the branding is supporting the business. You're not just designing something to design it, you're designing to support the business goals, the business strategy, the business needs. And if you start to design to support the business need and the outcome, you're going to have a much more successful business. And so in Chase Design, I've always operated that way, but I didn't really articulate it or know that that's what I brought to the table until actually recently. So now we're starting to market ourselves that way. And what happened was in January, one of my great friends, Jeff Spickler, he's a business strategy guy, and we had talked on the phone off and on for years. I've known him since I was a kid, and he would talk about business strategy, and I would talk about branding strategy. And we'd be on the phone, and I'd say, why don't we just, this should be a marriage. Like, why aren't business strategy and branding strategy like on the table all the time? Why would you just do branding and then let the client figure out the business? I said, let's do business and strategy together as a marriage. So now we're doing that package as a consultation. Well, what's happening is clients are coming to me and they're saying, here's the deal. We're trying to sell this thing and we're not selling it, so we want the website to look better. We want you to help us with the brand, and we want you to package it in a certain way. And a year ago, 2 years ago, before that, I'm like, great, research, all that. We make everything look awesome. But now I don't say okay. I say, well, are you priced right? Like, are you currently selling them, but they just don't look good? Mm-hmm. So if a company comes to me and says, we're selling a ton of them, but we need to put some money now into making them look better, that's a totally different scenario because they're making money. They're successful. We just need to wrap it. Like you saw some of the stuff with the package designs where like this company's been around for 25 years and now they're doing the cheese, packaging just because they're doing really well. But if they're like, we're not making any money, but we think we'll spend 20 grand to make the design good and we think that'll do the trick, well, let's look at your business plan. Let's look at your business model. Let's look at the strategy. So now we have customers that are on business strategy and business consulting packages before they even get to design. So by the time they get to us, there's clarity on the pricing, there's clarity on what they're doing, there's actually some infrastructure within place within the organizations that we're changing. So then when they get to us, they're like, cool, now what can we do to brand these things for you to support the business? And you get a much more engaged CEO, CMO, C-level person, or just a smaller business owner as well. And the relationship is just different. It's like, Rich, by the time I get to them, they've already had 3 months with me, or 3 months with Jeff, and they're just like, they trust us. They're ready to go. We've been talking, HTML for 3 months. Like, they're getting the language. So anyways, that's kind of the thing I wanted to bring up today is like, being comfortable with the left and right brain. A lot of designers are like, well, I don't want to talk about the contract. I don't want to take the time to do the contract. I don't want to do this. I just want to do what I enjoy doing. And you can do that. I've done it. It will sneak up on you once in a while and remind you that, it's good to set some boundaries and to know why you're operating with some structure, with some systems in place. So from there, let's just talk. I mean, is there anything that you guys want to talk about, or anything that's a challenge, or maybe there's something you really want to be doing but you're not, and let's talk about the why you're not doing it.
I think that's interesting because I would tell you that when we were left and right brain, and they said, oh, you can't get the same score, so you're going to have a really, really obvious difference to the way to figure out what the math sound is. So, I'm like, what do I do with that? So, and it's interesting, I've always felt like that was a detriment to not having my but I do feel like in the last couple of years, I was like, there are some positives to this. And that's kind of them. And we have also tried to explain to clients that develop a questionnaire and things like that. Start to ask, like, I was just selling this as a regional sale or service, you find that it changes by time of year. Some of the things that, and it's interesting that we've also lost some clients because of it, because there are clients that like just make it pretty. Like yeah, like lipstick on a pig. If it doesn't work, is your product, is it really crappy? I can't help you. If your product or service sucks, we can make a nice logo, but if you don't have what it takes within your customer to back that up.
Yeah. Or you don't even have a customer yet.
And on the pig, and so. But it's been interesting to see sometimes the handed that to people to say, okay, we want to get to know you. Where are you? Who are you? What is this? How are you evaluating success? And they're like, I just want to logo, or we just need a flyer. It's like, you need this to fit into your brand strategy. You not have a brand strategy, you don't have a business strategy. It's been interesting to see how some people are like completely blown, like, why you don't need this. You do need to know what our clients are, who our customers are. I'm like, of course we do.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see what their expectations are of what hiring a design firm or, even if this is strategic.
Yeah. It's planning. I noticed I've gotten really good at getting information out of the CEOs or the people in charge of the money and all that, but I wasn't good at it first because I used to say, what's your budget? And so they're like, okay, I'm gonna tell this guy, 5,000, and he's gonna say, okay, it's 5,000. So now I don't say what's your budget, although I do say what's your budget, but I say where are you as a company? Let's put the design to the side and talk about where are you as a company. Like, what are your resources for this particular thing you're trying to accomplish? Why are you trying to accomplish it? A lot of times people say, well, I don't know, but we have a person over here as our marketing person, and they really want us to have a better user experience, and those are like hot terms. And so I say, well, what part of your site right now are they getting stuck on for the user experience, or what user experience element are you referring to? And they're like, I don't know. They're like, they just say we need to have a better user experience. I said, well, can we get them on the phone or in a meeting? So I'm good at drilling down into where it's at, and then a lot of times they'll kind of map out for you, like, this is the thing that we think you need. And a lot of times the user experience might be fine, right? But maybe they don't have like an identity in place to where their colors and their systems just aren't tight. So you just got to bring the identity and bring the branding in a little bit, but their user experience might be fine. So I think you just got to learn to relate to who you're talking to. And then the questionnaire thing, we have those too. No one ever fills them out. You got to become a consultant. You got to be a consultant, like a doctor. Like, I'm going to sit with you, and I'm going to ask you, do you have any allergies to anything? A lot of times they haven't filled out that paperwork. They're like, yes, or no's, or whatever. Hopefully no's. But they sit with you, and they're like, they want to talk to you and see what's going on and get the elements. You almost got to like become that hands-on person.
It's to start the conversation, but it's actually been an interesting tool because if they aren't willing to take the time to think about it,
It disqualifies them.
Yeah.
like, we want this before we have our first conversation, so because otherwise then they like get that deer in headlights, like, why are you asking this? So if they aren't willing to take the time to think about it and to dive in and be that sort of analytical and reflective about where they are and where they're going, probably not much we can do for you, and we're not going to meet whatever your expectations are,
Right.
because you haven't even said so.
Right.
But that disconnect, I think, happens very early on between designers and clients, is because no one in design school that I know of has been taught about business or business strategy or even branding strategy. You were there to work on your portfolio, learn typography, learn art, learn whatever the curriculum is. I did not take any business classes until I graduated, and I realized working for myself that you needed exactly that. I can't have a client come to me and say, pretty up, I just want you to pretty up my presentation. Okay, then what? I need to know about your company, just like you said. I need to know why you need this presentation. Do you even need this presentation?
Yeah.
Maybe it's the wrong thing you're hiring me to do. And it took me a really long time to learn how to talk about this with clients. Because at first when you start, you do exactly that. You do one-off jobs. Like, hey, can you do a logo? Sure, I can do a logo. Here's how much it would cost, and here's a logo. We're not really taught how to sell ourselves as business strategists and partners
And how it
for
all goes
companies.
into the big
And why
picture of
that's
everything.
important,
Yeah.
right?
And it would be nice
Right.
if they did more of that. We had an interesting the lunch with Debbie Millman yesterday.
Yeah.
And I think they talked about it a little bit on stage, but both Maylin and Debbie had been at the Yale, or was it Harvard,
Yeah.
AIGA business summer program a long time ago. But the thing that was discovered during that, they did some testing, and they said all of the designers were like on this end of the testing, and all the other guys or people that were there were on this. And what they discovered was we have to learn how to talk the client's language. The client's never going to learn ours. They said it's like we keep speaking French to them when we talk about design, and they're not going to learn French. And so you have to learn how to communicate with the client in their terms, understand their industry.
Some designers and web designers kind of like the client doesn't know what they're talking about, and you can manipulate the client by saying, "Well, send us a PNG file or a vector file or whatever," and they're like, "What? Like, is that like some new acronym that the kids are using?" Like, they don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
So, and I've seen that so many times with web designers are like, the client doesn't get what I'm talking about, and it said, you got to relate to them. You got to talk about them. That's like part of the customer service
Yeah.
portion of it. There was a business of design at San Diego State last time I think I was over there, but there wasn't when I went there. And I always
Yeah, there
thought,
wasn't when I went there,
would
too.
love
I
to
don't know.
teach that course
Yeah.
at some point, maybe towards the end of my career, because there's so much value, in that for students. I mean, and a lot of it really is common sense.
Yeah.
Like, the design's way harder than business, you guys. Like, business is like 3rd, 4th grade math. Like, doing a contract that says don't do these things, you're going to get 2 rounds, and here's our hourly rate. You guys, that's not hard. It's
And
like
once you have
an
that in place,
invitation
it's
to
a
a 2-year-old
template.
birthday party. Like, you just like follow these 3 things, and we're going to be at this location. Like, it's the business part of it's not hard. Now, talking to people, being upfront, presenting isn't everyone's natural thing. There's people that are super quiet, they're introverted, it's terrifying for them to sell themselves. So that person may be better off with a partner, or someone who could sell them, or someone who has them on the other side. If they're really brilliant behind the scenes, or behind their computer, or behind their canvas, or whatever, and so they're like, "Hey, this is what I do. Let's put it online, let's promote it. I need a promoter, and somebody can go out there and do the biz dev thing, and let's figure that out." Maybe that person's also a designer, but they're just comfortable getting out there. When I was at San Diego State, the light bulb went on for me right away. We would go into these design reviews. There'd be 50 students. Half of them were, not even had slept. The other half looked like they were, like just trying to survive on their coffee. And then everyone would put their typography project or their page layout project on the wall. And Amy Levine was actually our typography teacher. So she would say, "All right, tell us what you did." And I remember like a student would have some on the wall that would just blow you away. You're like, this person's on another level. And they'd be like, "All right, explain what you did." And they'd be like, just thought orange was a good color and just trying to get it done. And they're like, "Okay, like this is really good. So what made you do that with the typography? What made you bring in that kind of photography, like the harmonizing?" Like, they're almost like trying to sell it. So it's like, I don't know, I didn't really think it through that much. That's what I was feeling. And I'm like, that person needs me to hire them so I can go out and sell their artwork because they're so good. And I just saw it time after time after time that the business side and the art side are disconnected. You can't force it. Not everyone's made to be a business owner. They're made to be an entrepreneur. It's you got to be in hunting mode all the time, and you can get to the point where you're like, okay, I've got some money in the bank and work's in the pipeline, and you still do your networking thing. But the number one advice I give to any entrepreneur is get business cards made and always keep them in your pocket. And if you want to give away a business card, all you have to do is ask somebody what they do first. They're going to probably ask you what you do. Then you can give business cards. You're not being overly selly. You're being it's classy. Like, what do you do? And they talk for 5 minutes. Like, what do you do? They're like, I'm a designer. Look me up. It's an easy thing to pitch and catch with. But I remember like 5-7 years ago, we were so busy, and I was working such long hours, and I decided I'm not carrying my business cards for a while. And I didn't carry my business cards for almost a year and a half. My wife said, "You never carry your business cards anymore." I said, I'm tired. I'm like, on the weekends, I don't even want to, like, I just want to hang out with my family and chill. I'm constant, I was hustling for so many years. And we got our little girl, and I got the daycare bill, and had to get the family car, and, you know, mortgage. And I'm like, where's this business cards at? I'm back in honey mode.
So how do you manage that? So this is the problem that I have as well. It's how do you manage to have just enough clients, and then this is always, I think, when you're either a sole proprietor or you have a small company, how do you manage to have just enough work and to keep yourself pretty busy but not be in overdrive all the time, saying yes to the projects that you want? I mean, I want to turn down projects that I really want to work on just because I cannot make it. I can't physically complete the project. It's just me.
Okay.
And I've only tried to hire someone one time, and it was a really terrible experience. And so, if it's just you, that's all the. I mean, you can market all you want, and if you get the work, then what?
I'm going to tell you the stuff you've already heard and the stuff you already know. I mean, it's hard. I've been trying to grow my business again because it seems like nature's taking its course. And
Right.
It seems to be in the air that we need more help.
Right.
But,
So maybe that's the question. How do you get more help?
Well, where I've done really, really well is SEO. I decided to do SEO for my company about 2.5 years ago, with the organic SEO. And my SEO guy's like, this was going to take us about a year to get where we need to be, but let's stay on it, stay diligent. And so now we're getting calls nationwide. And I remember thinking, hey, the traffic's okay, but it's not where I want it. And, you know, when are we going to get a lead? Like, we've been doing SEO for 6 months, 8 months. And then the phone started ringing. It's like, oh, we found you guys for medical design. We're from Florida. Or we found you for medical design. We're from Northern California. And it's like that one lead that comes in like that, that's a good lead.
Right.
And they've got a budget, and they found you because of the portfolio you've been doing for 10 years. It makes it all worth it. Like that one client, and I'm getting probably one of those a quarter, a real good one.
Right.
I get a lot of, like, we just need a logo.
Sure.
But what I found
And that's okay
is,
for in between. I understand that.
yeah, but what I found is the SEO is like having a 24/7 salesperson. You can get a lot of stuff that you don't want, and honestly, I don't respond to all of them. I can't.
Right.
But I usually will say thanks for reaching out. You know, this isn't a good fit for us, or I'll know it's not a good fit. I'll say, what's your budget?
Yeah.
And a lot of times they'll be like, oh, I want to do a logo for $250, and I'm like, you should check in with San Diego State, or some students will do a really good job on that for you. But
Do you hire contractors when you get busy then?
I have 16 contractors.
Okay.
Contractors are amazing because contractors treat you like a client,
Right.
and they are the best. I've got a really good team of contractors.
Where do you find them?
Just over the years, relationships.
Oh, okay,
I mean,
but not specifically from a
source.
yeah.
No, a lot of times I'll have employees that become contractors because they're better off as a contractor.
Right.
I always start off employees as contractors, and I've had employees start off as contractors, and it goes really well, but they're kind of like, hey, I kind of want to do what you do, and I said, would you like to still be a contractor? And if the communication's healthy and we're good,
Sure.
they're like, yeah, so then they'll be one of my logo people. I'll get contractors from other designers that work for me. I say, we need somebody that's really good at this, and like I know somebody that does that, and they'll refer them, and so we'll get that relationship going. But it's a constant scheduling juggle act. You just got to be. It just comes with the territory. You just have to know that you're going to constantly look at your schedule. You're going to it's going to have ebbs and flows. Aaron's our project manager, and he wasn't feeling well last week. And I told him when I saw him Saturday, I said, when you're at the office, I was fine for about half of the day, and then I was trying to do his job and my job and creative direct. And I just was like sitting there at one point. I'm like, I cannot believe how much he does. Like just the part of it that is so nice to have someone go, hey, this is what's due it to. These are the notes that came in from the client. Just organizing our schedule and all that. I told one of the designers, I'm like, oh my gosh, I really am missing him right now, and I appreciate what he does so much. And I already did, but it was like I needed to be in that moment where I was facing like 3 different tasks at once, trying to get it done. So. But people get sick, people have babies, people move on, and so you just gotta kind of I always have an ad going with like Indeed and some of the other people looking at portfolios. I make that like 2 hours of my week, just kind of taking a peek here, peek there.
Okay, that's good.
So where do you find? Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, I was just wondering what size your firm's at now. Like,
We're at 5 people. Five people, and we have about 16 contractors.
Okay.
Yeah, and we could probably use about 2 more full-time people. So I'm looking. Yeah. But we have a lot of our work. I mean, I have one contractor that's working more than an employee, and he's telling me, he's like, when are you going to hire? And I'm like, I'm looking, but I'm being really picky. I'm like, as long as I can be picky, knowing that you'll do the work, I'm going to be picky. Because for me, it's about when they were saying mind, heart, and gut yesterday, I was with her 100% because we're big on the culture at our place. Like, we spend a lot more time with each other than you do your family, you know? So I want people that have integrity, people that are good people you can be around, spend some time with. I'm a very hands-on creative director. I love the details, love the craftsmanship. So I can't let a designer do their thing and then they're like, well, I don't want your feedback. Well, I'm like, well, this is a team thing. Like, we're trying to do this as a team for the client. So they have to be able to work with that in that type of dynamic. Yeah. What were you going to say, though?
I just forgot.
Oh. Would I look for talent?
Oh yeah, you said Indeed. Yeah, where do you find your talent?
Indeed's been a really good one for me. I know ZipRecruiter's really good as well. Craigslist is horrible. I did it like 5 years ago, and once I found Indeed, I was just like, okay, this is nice. And I don't even do the paid Indeed; I do the free one. The free one, you're still going to get, I'm getting like 50 to 60 a week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because we had an intern that was looking for a job, and I don't think she said Indeed. She said somewhere I'd never heard of, and I thought, well, I would never think to go there to post a job, so maybe that's why you're not finding a job. Like she wasn't mentioning anything I would even think to go to.
Yeah. So if you go to ZipRecruiter, they show you all the platforms that they advertise on. How old was that person?
She just graduated.
Yeah, valuable. Get information from her. I mean,
Yeah.
that's where all the kids are looking. That's where all the students are looking. I always ask the younger designers, like, where are you guys looking for work? Where's a good place to look? Because I don't know. I've been doing this for 18 years. I haven't looked for a job forever.
Do you interview your contractors? Like you would an employee?
Yeah.
And so you wouldn't just hand off a project, right? And
No, I
say,
interview
here's
everybody.
a logo. Do
In
it.
fact,
Right.
we have a potential partnership kind of building right now with a development firm, and I had them come in for a full interview with their team.
Right.
I told them I'm super black and white. If you mess up once, it won't work out. But I said if it does work out, I'm all about the long-term relationship. Like I can be empathetic and work with you and have understanding, because life does happen. But if it's our first job and you're a day late or you're flaking or whatever, I'm like, I don't have time for it. It's good to set that boundary and let the business be business, because it's important that people are accountable and come to the table ready to, put their best foot out there and make themselves, part of your team. So I try to be pretty firm with that. I've gotten a lot more empathetic and patient since I've become a father. And I'm like, I'm going to probably be late, and I've got to change her. I can't take her to daycare like this. Like, I wouldn't want to sit in my diaper like that. So I've just become a better person probably from being a father, because kids will make
universal.
kids will knock you down a couple notches. I mean, I go to work with stuff on me, and I'm like, it's probably milk. Hopefully. I mean, I don't know what it is. Yeah. On my way to a meeting, I've got, like, something yellow on my arm. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I'm like, it's probably from Olivia. So. But is there anyone here thinking about starting a business besides you two? How far out are you from doing something like that?
I'd say maybe a couple of years.
Okay. Cool. So I would say if you're going to start a business, some of the just real fundamental advice would be give yourself like a 6-month buffer. Just be like, I can get by for like 6 months if I need to. Just have that there. Maybe even a year. Because I've talked to some people like, I want to start a business or I want to do this thing, but I have a family and I have a job. And I said, work like 20 hours a week for the next year. And just put everything in the bank account for that. And then tell your wife or your partner, I'm going to do this thing. We've got 50 grand on the side or whatever that number is, which will cover our bases. I'm going to go for it. If it doesn't work, I'll give us 3 months to be in. I'll start looking for work again or something. Like, there's always a way. That's part of being an entrepreneur. I don't know if
And I'm realizing too, the whole Korean River, we were discussing like the value of finding a partner who offsets my skill set so much, like a sales guy, a really more business development type person. I think would complement me a lot. So I am looking to find like that kind of fit for partnership and so that kind of role.
So they're really hard to find because a lot of them will say, "Oh, I can sell graphic design, I can sell branding, I can sell web design," and you can. I even have this thing where if someone sells something for us, they'll say they do a website, an SEO setup, and then the logo. I'll say for 1 year, any work that I get from that client, I'm going to give you 10% residual off any of that work. And all they did was bring me that initial lead. I've done this with like 7 people. It usually works really, really well with like a copywriter, a marketing person, somebody who's already in the industry. So they're like, I'm a copywriter, but people are always asking, okay, now where do I get my website done now that you've written the copy? So they'll hit chase and then commission. So I have some people that have done really well like that, with that business model, that commission model. The business consultant, business strategy person, it might be good to look for like a small business strategy firm and say, because most business plans, in the business plan, it usually says, okay, what's the name of your company? We don't know, we've got to figure that out. So then you need to get a logo, website, all these basic things done for your business. It's part of their business plan. So that business person is either going to tell them to go talk to you, or they're going to tell them to go figure it out. And then I'll do your business plan, but you got to figure out A through C. And so establishing those types of relationships, I mean, it can be good for both of you. Yeah, and I just was lucky enough to have someone in my life that I knew was the right person, but they were working in corporate America, making good money, and they just got burned out and said, I'm going to go for it, let's do it. So they're not a partner of mine, they're a contractor, but they operate as Chase Designs. So it works out really well, but I approached several business consulting firms to try to do what I'm telling you, and all of them liked the idea, but I don't know, it just wasn't right. Maybe it's because I was working a job, I don't know. Because it was just so hands-on. Yeah. It's a real natural business branding marriage. It's like, wow. And I feel like him and I could probably teach it and like speak about it more because it's a no-brainer. It's like every agency really can benefit from that type of support, right?
Is there like a check-off list, like what you need to do to prepare, like?
Yeah, you're gonna want to. I mean, do everything legally. So don't do jobs under the table and say, oh, well, I'll wait till I get bigger to pay taxes. Do everything on the books. Do everything honest. I mean, don't do anything like it's gonna keep you up at night at some point. I mean, save 30% for taxes. Do the contract. I mean, if it's a job for $500, you're like, I'm doing a logo for, this family down the street for $500. You don't need to do a contract on something like that. I'll create like a one little page work order, and I do a deposit on everything. It'll be a $100 job for my church and like $50 deposit because you got to cover your costs. I've had people not do a deposit and then they bail, and you just spent $2,000 because that's what it costs you to have your staff do the job, and they're MIA, and you're like, oh, now what do I do? And I don't want to go to court and go through all that stuff.
So, do you take credit cards? Like, do
Yes.
you see? I hadn't done that, but do you do that for the deposit usually, or do people totally?
I do credit card on everything because it's quick, it's instant.
Okay, so
And there's a
that's
fee.
how.
Yeah.
That's how you get all your
Yeah.
payment now.
Yeah, mostly. I mean,
You could
people
do
send me
Venmo
checks
too,
Oh, right. Or
which
I
is
mean,
really easy.
or Bitcoin.
Or yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it,
I don't do Bitcoin though.
and then Square.
I like Square.
don't accept product as payment.
But I was just, I mean,
Don't
I
accept
tell her,
product as payment.
you should, if you're going to be a sole proprietor, get your sole proprietor, go down to get your business license to the city, you can become a sole proprietor, and then do contracts and save like 30% for taxes. Like, you get a financial person who'll give you that advice, not from me, but you got to just do things legit on paper. Operate like the military.
And the other thing I would say,
That's
8
horrible.
years in the
That's
Navy.
actually like,
8 years in the Navy.
sounds inefficient.
it's
Yeah.
very organized.
Yeah.
The other thing I would say is, like you were talking about getting help. It's really good to. Military is a good so anyway, if you start to build up a little bit of a stable of people that can help, in case something ever happens, like you get an illness. I mean, I had cancer about 5 years ago. I'm fine, but even though I've had my business a long time, my partner wasn't there anymore.
Oh.
She had retired. And luckily I had an employee and a lot of freelance help, but I panicked because I thought if it got worse,
Right.
at some point it's really a problem.
Yeah, you lose
And
everything.
so you don't have to have that much of an illness
Right.
to suddenly miss your deadlines,
Right.
where you might lose that client even
Right.
by the time you're better. So if you can get a couple people that you could also help them, or if they're on vacation,
Yeah, that's a
you're
good
their
idea.
backup if there's a big thing going on.
A lot of times too, I've had clients for like my clients I've had for like 15 years. It's amazing. The clients you've had that long they're pretty cool. Like
Yes.
I'll tell them, hey, here's the situation. My web manager's out sick. We may need a couple days on this one. And they're like, cool. They know. You're not trying to pull excuses, and that client didn't get any excuses for the first
Right.
10 years, right? But I've gotten to the point where I'm real with my clients.
Yeah.
Because I had hired a designer recently who's brilliant, and he was taken on their site. The client's site got hacked, and he's a web designer, and he's not technically someone who fixes hacks, but he's like, I'm going to go in and take care of this and try to get it done. And so like 11 o'clock came, no word. 12 o'clock came, no word. 3 o'clock came, no word. 4 o'clock came, no word. Client's panicking. And I was actually at a retreat. I wasn't in the office. And so I'm thinking, this is so nice. My team's taking care of everything. I'm able to do this retreat. And I'm like hiking on a mountain. Like, I didn't even think my phone would ring. And all of a sudden it's like, we need to do a conference call with you, the client. We need to do a conference call with you and take care of the situation as soon as possible. We haven't heard back. And I told the designer, I said, hey, what's up? And like, I almost had it fixed, but I don't want to respond until I have it fixed. I feel so bad that their site got hacked. Like, first of all, you didn't hack the site. It wasn't your fault. Letting them know that you don't have an answer, but you're doing everything you can to look into it, just so they know is the right thing to do. Moving forward, just be real. And they honestly have been acting that way, like being real and being a good communicator ever since that moment we had. And they needed that. They've actually reminded me recently. I'm like, do you think we should tell the client the situation? They said, be real with them. They told me this like a week ago, and I was like, thank you. Like, I needed it, like 2 months later. So I think it's important to sometimes just be honest with what you're dealing with. Because have you guys ever seen it? It's like, oh, we need this Thursday by 2, and then you get it to them Thursday by 2, and you don't hear back for 2 weeks. You're like, man, I thought this was like,
every time.
I thought this was like it. This was like the big thing, and it's like, okay,
It was only important that you turn it around quickly.
yeah. Like, oh, the CEO needs
Yeah.
to see it Thursday by 2, and
Yeah.
I'll let you know because our thing is this weekend.
Yeah.
And you're like, really?
Yeah.
So,
No, but I think that's really good advice, actually. And this is how I've always practiced. It's you just have to be honest and say, hey. I actually, when I just said this happened really recently. I was out of town for travel, and I forgot to put an appointment on my calendar. I committed to it, and I was out, and I just didn't put it in. I totally forgot about it.
yeah.
And so the client calls me. It was on Monday. Said, hey, are you joining still? And I said, I screwed up. I'm sorry. I totally screwed up. I can be there in 20 minutes. I explained what happened, and I arrived, and it wasn't even a big deal.
Yeah.
They were all kind of running late, and it was a lunch meeting, so it wasn't even a huge screw up. But I think she really appreciated that I said, I don't have a good excuse other than I screwed up. And
So
she's fine.
I think in our heads we build things up sometimes
right,
that are it's scarier than it is.
and
but
it happens to them too.
Yeah. Oh, totally. I've
Yeah.
had people that are like top notch, they're
Yes.
big cheese, and I'll have something, and all of a sudden they show up on the call like 3:10 to 3, and
Right.
I actually am like irritated. I'm like, what's going
Yeah.
on? Like you join in the call, they're like,
Right.
yep, sorry.
Right.
But that they know that we have that rapport, so they're
Yeah.
showing up 10 minutes late. But I probably wouldn't do that to them.
Right.
But how you build things up in your head that's scarier than it really is, and then you do it, and you're like, hey, this isn't that bad. I'm 3 weeks into having my own business and got 5 jobs on the plate. That's probably how it would be for you. It's not as bad. But then you'll get the client that'll be like, why are you 20 minutes late? And they're going to give you that hard time. And that one moment will make everything feel like it's always like that.
Right.
So it's not.
Right.
But I still think kind of our recipe, we have our tagline is creating success. And because we're creators and we're creating, I decided, and then success is kind of like the success for the client, success for us, and then us putting everything we have into like us being inspired to inspire them, which means we're just trying to make them inspired by what we do, but we're inspired by what we do first before we show you what it is that we're doing. So I try to like really be accountable, be a person of your word, deliver on your deadlines, give great customer service. Like if you answer the phone at our office, I want to be like, thanks, Chase Design, thanks for calling, and make them feel like, hey, we're glad you called. Not like, Chase Design, I'm trying to design a website. What do you want now? Because that's probably what's going on, right? You're like, Chase Design, I'm kerning. So it's like, but make people feel like they're welcome, and they're the ones that are allowing us to get paid to be designers. If we didn't have clients, well, it'd be a hobby, So.
I want to ask about the copyright.
Yeah.
Like, do you register every artwork with copyright stuff?
Do I register the design work we do to be copyrighted? I don't. No. And do you guys do that? Do you guys copyright your work? No.
Basically, it is all copywritten automatically. It's copyrighted.
Well, yeah.
Technically.
Kinda, yeah.
It's-
I know.
but
It's like
you're not
email
gonna
it to yourself.
fight it, right.
Yeah. But you would usually trademark or copyright something that you wanted to have non-compete ownership of. So if you were
Like your
going to
name
do,
or something.
So let me ask,
Yeah.
did you trademark Chase Design? Because I've never trademarked Design Perspective, and I was talking to a guy the other day, and he's like an attorney, and he said, well, you should do that. It's only been 25 years.
yeah.
But,
So I have not trademarked Chase Design. There's actually Chase Design in New York, and there's also one in London. I did apply for a job at Chase Design in New York just to see if they would get back to me, and they did. And so after I got them on the phone for a phone interview, I said, I'm actually Chase Design as well. I just wanted to really see if you guys would respond. It was my first year in business, and we actually had a fun little moment on the phone, but they're like, okay, wait a minute. But then I met Margot Chase a few years ago, and so she had her thing up there, but I never did that. I have trademarked a children's storybook that I'm kind of working on behind the scenes. It's like that from Family Guy, that book that the kid's always working on. He's like, oh, how's your novel coming? And I kind of feel like that's my children's storybook. My wife's like, how's that coming? I'm like, it's been a while. But I've trademarked that. I have that all legally, set up if I need to, when I do decide to pursue that. But you would trademark or get things copyrighted or things that are protecting your legal thing that you're going to continue to have ownership of and do. But if you're doing design work for clients, it's kind of on them.
yeah.
In fact, I'll design a logo for a client, and I'll say, "Hey, here's everything. If you want a trademark, you get a trademark." Like we're not a trademarking company; we're a design company.
Well, usually too, I'll try to tell them, we can't be responsible either for like the search. I mean, we try to do a cursory search when we're doing something. So many, we can find everything, out there. But you want them to search it, especially if there's a little more.
Right, but like say if you apply for others and you have your own artwork, and I imagine that you will want to have something trademark or something like nobody can steal your work. Right?
You mean so if you've done your own portfolio work that you want to show just to show your work, you could, but I don't know that unless you're doing patterns or something you really think somebody's going to steal. Although logos, I guess they're stealing those all over.
Well, I've had probably 3 of our logos taken that I've done for clients, and it's people will take it and do renegade stuff with it. So we branded a CrossFit a couple years ago, and we branded it, and they took everything and ran with it. And then someone's like, yeah, John Cena's wearing your CrossFit stuff because he trained at this gym. And so I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like, I'm not a big John Cena fan, but that's just kind of cool. So I just Googled the name of the company with John Cena, and he came up first thing. And then it showed all these teams that had taken the logo and made their own versions of it. It was like a lot of different people were pretty much doing trademark infringement on a brand that we created. But I was like, it's the audience.
It's not infringement on you anyway.
No.
It's still the company.
Yeah,
It's the company that you designed for.
It didn't bother me. I almost was like,
Right.
it's kind of a compliment. Really. And I actually saw someone, I designed a logo for a hospital, and the hospital was so large that the different departments were creating their own versions of the logo for different things they were doing.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, oh, it's not quite square, so we're just going to stretch it. I was like, oh. Yeah.
So has anybody, you might have done work for it. Have you run into 99 logos or
Yes.
anybody where,
Yep.
it had happened to other designers I know, but a year or so ago, one of my clients had hired a lot more people, in their not quite C-level suite. And they called us to do a PowerPoint, which we hate doing PowerPoints, except I have to relearn it.
Yeah.
So if somebody's great in PowerPoint, I want to meet you.
That's like the thing right now.
Oh my
We've
God.
been getting word requests.
Oh yeah. Well, because
Word
people want like a
requests.
template,
Word templates.
and they want their letterhead in the template. Anyway, so she said, "Oh," and because they had a couple companies, she said, "Oh, and we'll be getting the new logo soon." I'm like, "What new logo?" And so I'm thinking, you're calling me for a PowerPoint, but you didn't call me to say you had a small budget for one of your logos. She said, yeah, we hired it. It was like $99 a time. And I said,
Oh yeah.
when I was on the phone, I said, you what? And I didn't know her because she was new, and they were kind of giggling on the phone. And I hate to say that about women, but you know, there were two new people, and I said that twice. Like, you what? And so then when we finally got the logos, and they ended up not using any of them, but I actually got shingles that weekend. I had never had them at a light case of shingles, and I call that the shingle logo because, which never happened, but I think I was so upset because I had heard other designers run into that, other firms, and I just couldn't believe that they would just go there first.
I don't take
instead
it
of
personally
talking
at
to
all.
I don't
us.
either.
Well,
It's not the kind of
But here's
client
the
I would
thing,
want that's not.
people-
well, but it's been a client I've had for a while, a long
I can see it
time.
bothering
But
you,
they
yeah.
had all these newbies,
Oh,
you know, that kind of
who were
took
making
over
decisions.
part
I see.
of. And so that I'm just wondering if anyone else has run into that
I've
yet,
had
because I think
clients
it's,
come to me several times saying, hey, we went to 99 Designs, and we went here, went to Logo Pond, and we don't like what they did.
well, that's
Can we show you and talk to you about it? So I've had that, but the thing is, like, it's like photographers that are going, oh, my photography business isn't going to last because there's iStock Photo, or
Right.
my logo business isn't going to last because there's 99 Designs, or, you know, my music career can't go off because there's too many people singing. It's like, you can't fake talent.
yeah.
And or the person that's like, well, my nephew does web design, so maybe we'll have him do the web design if you do the logo. Good luck.
Yeah.
It's like,
And I have told clients that.
yeah,
way.
there's a big difference in sitting with me and sitting with someone who lacks experience. And you're going to figure it out in the first hour.
And that's not the company. I mean, I don't care if they come back to me. If that's their mentality, then I don't want. Then I'm clearly not the right person for the job. So then they can just do the 99 design.
I'll even say to somebody, like I had a guy come to me, he was an ex-Marine or something. He's like, hey, I've got this idea where I want to do like a sword, but I want to have it, you know, turn into to a capital D somehow. And I actually pulled it off. But I made the back part of the D like a sword, and I had it breaking through, and I just made it super like iconic and simple. But he was asking me what I charge and asked me what I do, and I gave him like just a rough ballpark, and he's like, well, why would I pay you that much to do a concept that you just articulated? And I said, well, how do you think I articulated that so quickly? I said, it's because I have experience. And I said, watch this. And I sketched it. And I said, that's your logo right there. I'm like, that took 30 seconds. He's like, well, just do that in an hour. And I was like, it's going to take me longer. That's going to take what I just quoted you. And he's like, well, you just did it so quickly. And I'm like, that's because I've been doing this a long time. And so he's like, okay, let me think about it. And he's like, can I have that? And I was like, no. I'm like, you just think about it and let me know. And even though he saw it and he could probably explain the concept, he called me like an hour later. He's like, yeah, let's go ahead and do it. And I showed it to him, and it took about what I was thinking, because I had to we have a thing called an identity sheet, which is like the different versions of the logo and the colors and the fonts. And I gave him like a little identity package. And but I'm very comfortable like talking about value. And we get paid for the way we think, you guys.
Isn't that last year when she did the Citibank logo?
Yeah.
And she said, you know, like, okay, I can kind of have this sticker, you know, that red art is from the emerging travelers.
Yeah.
And they had that red umbrella. So she did that. She said it just kind of, that general idea just kind of came to her. She sketched it out on the napkin. And of course, you know, they're like, well, then why should we pay? You know, you did this in 10 minutes. And she said, 32 years and 10 minutes.
I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so true.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing what I did to that guy my first couple years out of school. I was like, oh my gosh, I got another logo job. Great. I'm excited about the logo job. And I'm like, I'm going to do research, and I'm like, going to put on this music while I do it. And I just was all about the design experience when I first started out. Very idealistic. And now it's like, I know I'm a consultant. I consult. And then I facilitate a lot through my team. Like, my team is 90% of everything. But I still touch it and feel it and talk about it, help creative direct it. But I don't need to be the idea person either. Like, if I have a person that creates something that's beautiful, I don't care. As long as it gets there, it gets there. That's what I care about. It doesn't have to be me that does it. I just want it to be good work. So. Yeah, it took me a long time though. It took about 5 years to be okay with that. I love designing. I just love designing. I love throwing on the good music and then turning off the emails and just designing for 5 hours. I'm like, I'm going to design for 5 hours. And I'm like, oh, it's been 7 hours. And so then, because when I first started, I would do emails in the morning, design for like 5 hours or whatever, and then I would do more emails, and then I would usually design till like later at night. And that's how my day was. So I was doing the sales thing, customer service thing, and I just had to be, chunking down into blocks.
Are you still designing now?
I spend about 5 hours a week designing. It's mostly like I'll look at a designer's work, and it's just easy for me to be like, hey, can I sit at your desk real quick and kind of show you what I'm thinking? And some designers, I'll sit there for like 15 minutes and kind of play with it and work on it, competition or whatever. Some I can just be like, just make that a little bit bigger and then it'll be right. So, but I usually, because one of the things I'm really, like financial planning for your company is really, really important. And it's not hard to do, but it's hard to make time to do. And so I'm right now going through a real detailed financial planning model that I'm building out because Jeff is now on my team, and through talking with him, he's reminding me on some, hey, think about this, think about these formulas and ways to do things. And I'm looking at what I'm actually spending my time on every week. Because there's a lot, it's crazy. We have like hourly retainers with clients, and I'll look at the retainer for the month, and I'll be like, oh, there's 10 hours from me. But I'm like, I probably spent, in mine, I'm like, why is it only 10 hours for me? It's because I throw a lot of my time in because I'm always supporting and doing this. I'm not like sitting down and like 5 hours for Tuesday. So I just don't put my time down because it's just all part of the bigger thing. But now I'm trying to be accountable for where I'm actually spending my time. And it's kind of tedious to do that. But it makes a big difference in the bottom line. And it's better for me because I'm starting to see it. I'm like, oh, okay, this is actually good, But I'll just put creative direction. Sometimes that's all I'm doing,
Yeah, but having that visibility to where your day goes is invaluable because when you are trying to put something, where does it go? It's not necessarily how much you thought you did, it's how much you really did put in, which is always more.
And quoting jobs are tricky because I always try to get myself 20% under or over because you're never going to get it perfectly right. So I'm like, okay, I'll bid it for 20% higher or lower than I think it is just so I have some wiggle room. But it's just, especially, like a larger flat rate job, it can be tough. And so you just got to go, okay, does this cover, the cost and like what's the profit in it? And you start to look at like the profit percentages versus, I bid it for 25 hours and we came in at 27 hours. So that's amazing. And then it's like, okay, we had a 2-hour meeting on that day, but it wasn't actually the hands-on design portion. So is that like an hour per hour thing? So, you just got to look at everything. You have to use a lot of common sense. But knowing where your time goes is really, really key.
I think some of the problem with the time management is that when I worked in an office, you were there for, let's say, 8 hours. But you really only work for 5 hours.
Yeah.
You have an hour lunch, and then you have coffee breaks, and then your phone rings, and then your boss comes in and you're talking about your day. And so, when I first started, it was like I worked 15 minutes, I logged in 15 minutes. I worked an hour, I logged in an hour. And so I was very exact, but I didn't take into account the fact that, I'm thinking about this project for 4 hours. I may be doing something else, but I'm thinking about it and I'm kind of sketching it in my head or maybe even on paper. And I'm not counting that time.
I know,
typically.
and
I mean, I do
I've
now,
had
but
logos
it's
coming to me while I'm getting my
right.
teeth worked on at the dentist.
That's always right.
I'm
How
like,
it's
do you have a pen
yes,
and
this
paper?
concept, right? Yes. During the conference yesterday, I was like writing things down because I was getting all of these ideas from the speakers, and it's like, oh, this would
it's
work so
amazing.
well. Like,
Yeah.
and I don't count that. I mean, I'm getting much better at it, but I think that's another thing when you're accounting for time and doing an estimate. It's not just I sat at my computer and I did the logo for 8 hours. There's probably 12 hours of work that you actually put into this, and not to mention the fact that you're going to invoice and then track the time and then talk to the client on the phone. And
Another thing that I do is if Aaron's doing a job, I'll say, Aaron, you bid out the job. So I'm not going to bid it out. Aaron may say, oh, Chris, I'm going to do that in 10 hours. In my mind, I'm thinking 20.
right.
He'll be like, 10 hours. I'm like, well, how do you do it so efficiently? He's like, well, we do our research and we show it to them, they like it. I'm thinking about 10 hours. So then we're able to collaborate, but I really ask whoever's doing the work to bid it out because they may have something else going on.
Sure.
And it's like, I think, as a business owner, processes are really important, having a process. And so, doing the research, for example, I'll just do logos. For example, for us, for logos, we do the research, or we do like an initial kickoff meeting. We do the research. We talk about like an idea and the creative direction. And then for logos, we usually go black and white, round one. We don't do color because color can throw people off. They'll be like, I don't like green. And so you showed them green, so that logo's now not working, and that logo's probably it. So I'll stick to black and whites. Once the black and white's approved, you go to color. Once the color's approved, you go to the different logo variations in the identity sheet. So try to break it down like that. But I think for web design and for print design and some other design processes, I think there's like 3 steps that are kind of like concrete, but people have their own ways of doing things. And so, I don't know, do you guys still do those dream boards? Remember how popular that was like a few years ago?
I don't think I've done those.
Those just eat up clients' money. Like, I want research, but I remember like 5-7 years ago, my team wanted to do these dream boards on every single project. I was like, you have $1,000 for a flyer, which is a lot, and you want to do half of it on a dream board? And I said, just do some research and like show me some colors and some typography and like a direction. But you can't put together this beautiful like laid out dream board and then you have no budget left.
But I'll make the client sometimes help me and send me websites that they like and dislike, like
yeah,
3
totally.
websites that you like and why.
That's great.
Maybe quickly tell me what you like about them.
They usually do.
So I'm not guessing, and they do. And
That's
they
usually
have,
why they called you.
Yes, and they have a lot of opinions. Actually,
Yeah.
they're very valuable, and some of my clients have tremendous insight into what they want. They just can't do it.
Yeah.
But they're very helpful in figuring out the solution for the business.
Yeah.
And so that's
No one knows their business as well as they do.
Yeah, of course.
Even
Right.
though that's our job is to try and educate
Yes.
ourselves about them and try and look at it both internally, like how they do, but also then of course as the outside user,
Right.
the person that experiences them. So
I also ask my clients questions like a normal relationship type stuff too. I'll say, right now we're talking about this thing. I said, how comfortable are you in this space? And they're like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, do you feel like if I wasn't the person doing this job, you could explain to me what it is you're looking for clearly? And if they're like, yeah, I can, I'm like, well, cool, let's hear it.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Versus, me just assuming that I'm just going to tell them.
Right.
Because I think there's so much value in them opening it up and being able to kind of paint the picture. So we are trying to fulfill a project for them. It's a problem-solving thing for them.
Right.
It's not our thing that take it or leave it. But some people design that way.
Yeah.
Some people are like, who's the guy that did the logo? He's like, this is it, take it or leave it. Milton? Wait, who is it? Aaron? Here's the guy that designed the logo, and he's like, take it or leave it. One round.
That's
Paul.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Paul Rand.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, but he's at a different level. It's
Yeah.
like going to Saks Fifth, and
Yeah.
they say.
Well, Saul Bass did that too.
And so
Saul
Bass,
Bass,
yeah.
Saul Bass. So,
That's not many of us.
And
Think.
you got a book with Paul Rand.
yeah.
But I like the problem-solving comment. I think that's really important to think of, just in general. What's the problem, and how are we solving it?
Yeah. I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And then just got to look at everything. It's communication art. Like, are you communicating what it is you're supposed to be communicating? Because I've seen pieces that are beautiful, and I'll look at them like, that's a really beautiful piece, but the type's getting lost because it's the same color as the background,
Right.
and it's just all blending in, but it's beautiful.
Sure.
But it's like, what's
not
the 1,
practical,
2, 3?
Right.
Well, you got to ask yourself the 1, 2, 3. What's the first thing, second thing, and third thing they're supposed to do? And you should answer that instantly. And that most people should look at it and say, okay, here's what I'm doing. 1, 2, 3. That's why you look at a website and it's like the logo goes here, and then they're going to some type of a marketing statement here, and then we want you to click on this button.
Right.
So it's like 1, 2, 3. It like leads you into that experience.
Right.
And all designs, I always tell my team too, like whether you're designing a flyer or a website or a social media ad, it's all user experience. Like everything's user experience. So think that through from the user's perspective. Why you're design intelligently.
Right.
You know. So I think it's
Yeah, and
important to
guide
take
their
on-
actions.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you want them to do? Why are they the website? What do you want? Do you want to sell? Do you want to just generate leads? What do you want, or nothing? Do you want just them to land on there and call you? I don't know.
But we have a
And you have to
company
prioritize it.
that just reached out to us. They have a apparel company, a sporting apparel company, and on their mobile site, you know the hamburger menus are so popular. Like 99% of the sites are using them.
Yeah.
And the guy calls me and he's like, our website is doing amazing. He's like, but I keep getting emails, customer service emails, asking where are the additional women's lines products. Because the way we built it, there's one photo, and then you click the hamburger menu and it gives you a drop down to the different
Right.
departments. And on mobile, it's so precise and so small that it works beautifully. And he goes, no one gets that menu takes them anywhere else. He's like, we have to figure out another way. So this week, we got to figure out, instead of a hamburger menu, what's an alternative?
Sure.
You guys have anything?
I don't know. Maybe
working
categories
right
like
now.
the landing page. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then the mobile site has to be different potentially.
Yeah,
from
gotta
the,
break it up.
Yeah. I had
So-
a client who had an older audience too, who just didn't know
Yeah.
how to interact with the sites, and then you have to make them larger type and larger images.
They're doing like everything. Like
Is it
all
not
of us.
obvious on the mobile site that there is a hamburger menu?
It's totally obvious.
Yeah.
Big contrast with so sharp contrast.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, all of the things that I feel like.
You know, and maybe he got like 2 emails that he's saying he's getting a lot of them.
Sure.
Even 2. But I still am like,
Yeah, but one of them's from his mom.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. But I looked at the screenshot.
I don't know,
Maybe.
maybe.
Yeah. What about you? What are you thinking about doing with your business?
Oh, I don't know if I'm there yet, but it'll probably be in I'll probably want some more flexibility in my schedule in a few years, and
Yeah.
I can see myself kind of going into the freelance world just naturally. My husband's actually just made the transition from agency to freelance 6 months ago, so I'm supporting him right now. So I'm kind of seeing all
How
of
it
this
goes.
stuff play out. Basically going through our savings a little bit and then figuring things out
Sure.
as he goes, and it's going well.
Good.
But yeah, I'm not there yet. I'm not ready to take on the business side of things. I just love being able to focus on the design side completely and just dedicating myself to that right now. And I'm still learning a lot. So I think in a few years though, I'll probably want to dive into the
Would you
business
join
side.
forces
also.
with him maybe as a partnership?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
No.
Too much?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I feel like he's much more in the app world and digital. I'm a much more traditional designer,
Yeah.
and so I kind of want to stay in a more traditional space. Probably, I definitely dabble in the digital area. I don't prefer it, but I can do it. But I would probably want to go off and do my own thing. Yeah.
Okay, it's good that you know that.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Sorry, everybody. Just to let you know, it's time to start wrapping things
We're
up.
done.
Head back
All
inside.
right. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
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 Appreciate it.
Yeah. This is awesome. I was excited to talk to you.